The infrastructure is littered with scrap, waste, unused and redundant materials in the forefoot, on the ballast shoulder, and even blocking some of the safe cess and walkways. Scrap and waste material is a significant contributor to slips, trips, and falls. Don't rely on others to clean up for you. It is your responsibility. Make sure that you take your scrap, waste, and unwanted materials with you and return any unused items to the store. If materials have to be left at the site, it must be secure and stored in a safe location and should be left there for as short a time as possible. Returning unused materials to the stores can save thousands of pounds, and many can be reused or recycled. Over half of close calls are specifically related to scrap rail being left as a tripping hazard. Multiple incidents have occurred due to scrap being left around on our infrastructure, resulting in vehicle damage and even derailments. Scrap contributes to theft and vandalism, and also train delays, as it can interfere with the infrastructure operating equipment. Clearly identify existing redundant materials and agree a plan for removal prior to starting any other work. Be aware of any overhead live equipment and any adjacent line open working when planning to remove scrap rail. Refer to the Level 3 standard NR L3 CPR 306, Disposal of Redundant Railway Assets. The National Supply Chain has a dedicated team that can help with this. Include removing any scrap generated by your activities in your planning and delivery process. Use the correct PPE when handling scrap, and be aware of potential hazards associated with scrap removal, such as heavy items and hypodermic syringes or needles. If scrap is discovered during maintenance or renewals, then it must be reported, and the work will need to be reviewed to assess if it is safe to continue. Wooden sleepers must be banded in bundles of 6, and concrete sleepers must be banded in pairs. Always move sleepers clear of the line side. All materials must be stored a minimum of 3 meters away from any open rail line. Lengths of rail less than 6 meters long should not be left line side. The maximum length of rail that can be collected by road is 18 meters. When using on-track plant, 20-foot lengths of rail should be secured and moved in single movements. Any unrecovered scrap should be recorded on the dilapidation survey at T-22. Use planned setting down areas and access points for storing new materials and scrap. Think about how vehicles will safely access these areas. Think about lorry movements and refer to the delivery point management plan. Is there an adjacent line open or overhead line, third or fourth rail electrification risk? And is the surface flat and going to hold a fully loaded vehicle? Do you need a controller of site safety, safe work leader, machine controller, or plant operating scheme representative? Are there any buried or overhead services? And will anyone be working at height? If materials have to be left on site, they need to be as far away from overhead live equipment as possible. Be sure to remove 1-ton bags. If left on site for long periods, they can deteriorate. Always use a cross-beam lifting attachment and inspect them before lifting. Empty bags can become tangled in machinery or inadvertently cover a signal. Used bags should not be reused. There are numerous methods and tools available to help remove scrap and waste. Lift plans and appropriate competency must be in place for the use of these tools. Universal and standard rail beam attachments, used for lifting track panels, scrap clearance and rail installation up to 9 meters. Rail thimble attachments, used to move rail of 30 meters and above. Rail cropper, used for cutting large quantities of rail. Sleeper grab attachment, for scrap clearance and replacing new and old sleepers. Rail trailer, with a 2,000 kilogram payload and a choice of 1.25, 2.5 and 5 meter tow bars. The Road Haulage Planning Centre has access to a wide range of road vehicles that can help remove materials from access points.